Bienvenidos al entrenamiento sobre nutrición deportiva. Por favor, démosle la bienvenida al Dr. Luigi Gratton, vicepresidente de entrenamiento de Herbalife.
Hi, everyone. It's Dr. Luigi Gratton, and I'm so excited, very happy, and I'm proud to be doing this training, talking about nutrition as it applies to physical activity, especially with exercise. We know that exercise and physical activity as part of a healthy lifestyle has become very popular around the world. And a lot of people are now moving more into understanding about how their nutrition can affect their physical performance. So just a little bit of history on me. I am a family medicine physician. I have two specializations. One is in family medicine, another area in clinical nutrition. However, when I was younger, I used to run track and cross country when I was at the university, and I've always been a competitive athlete ever since I was a young teenager. So I really love the application of nutrition as it applies to physical activity and human performance. So in this presentation, we would like you all to understand the benefits of not only training, but really using different types of nutrients to help support your physical activity. Okay, so let's get into it. I hope you enjoy this presentation. I'm going to be talking about a number of things, and we're going to get into this first in terms of the benefits of performing physical activity. Now, this is probably pretty obvious. You know, I have a very good friend who's a physician, and I've known him for over 30 years, and he always jokes, come on, why are we going to exercise? It really doesn't mean much. It's just for vanity. He's always saying, you know, people just want to look good. Actually, the benefits of exercise do include the physical benefits, right? Having toned muscles, being the proper weight, being a healthy weight. But it also has so much to do with all of the organ systems in the body. And let's go through some of them. The first thing is obviously muscle mass. You are blessed, all of us are blessed with our muscle that we carry. But the important thing is we should understand we lose that muscle as we age. So it doesn't matter if you're 30, 40, 50, 60 years of age. Muscle doesn't just stick around. We have to exercise it so we can develop the muscle and strengthen the muscle. Another thing is bone mineral density. Our bones, you know, if you ever cut a tree, if you come up on a tree and you see the rings in the tree, that's a lot how your bones look inside. There's levels of density to the bone, the same way a tree has different rings in it, but the bone can actually get very porous as we get older. And so it doesn't matter the age at which you are, exercising helps with bone mineral density. Weight control goals, actually having a healthy weight is so important because it cascades to many other benefits, just maintaining healthy weight. And of course, something I'm very interested in is cardiovascular disease. Keeping a healthy heart, that's the engine inside your car. It's the main pump that moves things all around the body, the blood, the nutrients, and you've got to keep a good cardiovascular system because I'll use the analogy of a freeway. If you're driving to work on the freeway, it's nice when there's no traffic and the cars move in a very smooth functioning way. You don't have any accidents, there's no pileups, and there's no congestion. That's how we want your cardiovascular system to look like. Now, mental health is something that we need to be talking about a lot more. And a lot of people didn't understand the benefits of mental health, but now we know. Sleep is a big part of that. You can improve your sleep, and we're all understanding the benefits of sleep now. So exercise helps with that. Another big area is controlling blood sugar levels. That's not just for general wellness, but it's for longevity. We know that having healthy blood sugar levels means so many other great benefits. And of course, supporting your immune system so that you can stay healthy all throughout your life cycles. Really I should say all months of the year, it's important. Okay, let's keep moving along because we understand that physical activity has all these benefits, but now we want to understand how nutrition plays an important role in helping to support your physical exercise, okay? So now this is pretty incredible. Just the same way you put your gasoline, oil, and your coolant in your car or your motorcycle, or if you have a boat or airplane, whatever your means of transportation is, think of your human body as the universal method of transportation and movement. Every person needs to maintain their well-being and promote health. You want to maintain or control your weight, your body fat. You want to increase your muscle mass, improve your physical appearance, like my friend always jokes, and improve the physical performance, like I like to reinforce. These are all great reasons to encourage people to engage in physical activity. And this is what nutrition can do. It can help support those particular goals that we just touched on. So when you're eating and when you're teaching people, let's say family members, friends, when you're helping them eat, remember to eat with purpose. When you're putting something in your mouth, in your body, you're doing it for a particular reason, specifically some of these things that we're just mentioning here on the slide. Okay, let's go to the next point, which is the importance of nutrition in physical activity. It helps to not only help while you're doing the actual activity, your optimal performance of running or cycling or swimming or whatever you may be doing, but it also plays a key role in recovery. A lot of people don't talk about after the exercise. It's so crucial that if you're breaking down the muscle tissue and you're stressing the body, you have to help repair. You need the body to rejuvenate. Now, we do that in a natural way, but you can help with the natural processes of your body repairing and rejuvenating with good nutrition. Now, another cool thing, it helps to promote the physical adaptation to exercise. So, for example, I've been running since I was a teenager. I'm 54 years old, and I've been running for at least 40 years. What's really cool about running for me is that my leg muscles and my heart and my arms, they have adapted to me running. So if I go running up hills, my body is getting better at running up hills or running on flat streets. So there's adaptation, and nutrition can help with that. Also, very importantly, helps to maintain health. General overall health and well-being is so important. And a lot of people that you may speak with will tell you, I just want to feel good. I want to feel better. And that's important for overall health, right? So what do we need? Well, this is where it really comes down to the specific components that we're choosing to eat every single day. And that includes things that provide energy. Think of carbohydrates and fats. Okay, and that may be like quinoa, rice, beans, all the things the things that I'm eating throughout the day. I like to reach for my complex carbohydrates, but I'm also having simple carbohydrates that are in the beverages that I'm having, or some of the fresh fruit that I'm eating, or the things that I'm blending up. And of course, fats. A lot of people think fats are bad, but you have literally millions of calories of fats inside your body that are stored. They're your storage areas for energy. And as soon as you get up and you walk around or you go swimming or you play football, whatever you're doing, you're burning through fat at a very relatively steady level. Now, energy is one area. Protein is another area because we need structure. We need something to hold your bones up in your body, or we need something to kick the ball. We need something to throw. So those proteins give us structural support and help our muscles activate and contract and move. Proteins are crucial, whether it's your skeletal muscle kicking something in your legs or it's your heart muscle pumping the blood around the body. Protein is crucial. It's also important for your skin and your teeth and your hair and everything, all the tissues in the body. So really important as a structural component. We need that, and we need to sort of supply the body with that protein because it makes up the components of structure. Vitamins and minerals. I like to think of this, when I studied in school, we would always talk about chemical reactions happening in the body. Believe it or not, your body is all these millions and millions of little chemical reactions happening. And for a reaction to happen, you want to have something called a cofactor. This is what I used to talk about when I was in school. Cofactors are simply things that can help to make these reactions occur. So vitamins and minerals can be important cofactors throughout the body to help things go smoothly, to help things run along. Now, of course, hydration. If you've ever driven down the freeway or the highway and you see a car by the side of the road and the car is stopped and there's smoke coming out of the car, what does it mean? It's overheating. The engine has become too hot. Well, we know that they need more coolant. They need more things that are going to cool the car out. That's what hydration does in the body. It helps to get your core heat, your core temperature out to the periphery of your body, and that's usually through sweat. But you need things, fluids moving around your body to keep transportation in the body, to keep joints fluid and viscous. And of course, you want to keep sweat moving around. And of course, blood flowing. And of course, ergogenic aids. What is an ergogenic aid? Well, it simply means something that is going to help you with performance and work. And so if you think about ergogenic aids, such as caffeine, I know that when I have my own different concoctions of caffeine, I enjoy many different types. It can definitely help my performance. And that's what an ergogenic aid is. And there are other types as well that can be used. So very exciting to understand that nutrition can play a key role in what we do every single day. And I want you to remember, you're eating with purpose. Think about what you're eating. You don't want to get up and go to work or get up and run through the city and not eat with purpose, because what ends up happening is you simply eat what's available. Street food, processed food, manufactured food that's high in that's very low in nutrients and high in the bad stuff. So eat with purpose, especially as it pertains to physical activity. Okay, let's talk about the energy sources during exercise. Those are primarily carbohydrates and fats. We mentioned protein earlier, but protein doesn't really provide you with energy. Remember, I said it provides you with structure. It holds your bones up, right? It helps you stand tall or kick the football, as we said. But what's really going to give your body the fuel it needs is the carbohydrates and fats. So for low intensity exercises, and don't worry about the complexity of this slide, I want to keep it very simple. But what's really important is you see the science and you see the data. And that's why we want to show you real raw raw data or information. If you notice on the right-hand side, the intensity, which is a percent of your VO2 max, of the three bars you're looking at, the one that says 25% VO2 max means it's very low intensity. That would be literally getting up and shuffling or walking around. As soon as you start really going into a walk or jog at conversational pace, if you're on the treadmill, you're going to move to that middle bar, and that's your 65% of your VO2 max, okay? Now, you can imagine going into a full sprint and you're running, that's where you move to that tall bar, the 85% of your VO2 max. So we're looking at three different types of intensity of exercise. I think that's clear. But what I really want you to focus in on are the different colors. Notice the blue-green colors that you'll see in that 25% bar, the one on the left. You'll notice there's the bright green and that aqua green blue. I should probably call that aqua green. You'll notice that there's a huge amount of fat that's being used to burn up and provide energy. And there's very little sugar, a little bit of carbohydrate that you'll notice in that dark forest green. Now let's move to the middle portion. You're going to see a tremendous change. You'll see an expansion of the forest green, which means now we're using more of the fat that's inside the muscles and still some of the circulating fat that you're generating, that you're literally liberating from the fat tissues, and it's becoming important form of energy usage. And we're still using some glucose, you'll notice in that dark green, a little bit more, but we really start relying a lot more on carbohydrate when we go to high intensity. That's in the 85% column. Look at all the blue that expands. That blue at the top, that's a lot of your muscle using the carbohydrates that are stored. And that's why you'll notice marathon runners, when they're running the marathon, they're also taking sips of their sports drink to replenish that carbohydrate, so that when they're finishing that 2-hour marathon, they're making sure that they have some fuel left over. So I don't want this to be too complicated, but I want you to understand, as you're sitting listening to this presentation, you're burning some fat and some carbohydrate. You're going to get up and go outside and walk, you're going to be burning more fats and carbohydrates. And then as you really start running and doing intense exercise, you're leaning more into carbohydrates and you're still using your fats at a very, what we call basic level, okay? So I think that makes sense. Low intensity exercises, mostly using fat. High intensity exercise, you're gonna rely on both fats and carbohydrates, okay? Very beautiful slide there. Now, as we move on, carbohydrates are so key. Now, I want you to understand this as you talk with other people, your family and your friends, and you tell them that you may be using a sports beverage, or you're having a banana and you're making a smoothie because you're doing it before exercise, and they say, oh, I thought, having a lot of sugar or carbohydrates could be bad. Well, if you're doing physical activity, you're going to need to put the fuel in the gas tank of your body. Okay. So take a look. Energy source beforehand. You want to be making sure you're eating carbohydrates at meals or snacks 1 to 4 hours before you exercise, because that's going to really help increase your body's energy stores. Now, during exercise, like I mentioned, the marathon runner, and you probably saw this if you're watching any sports on television or you're out at a marathon, you'll notice that they're going to be having gradual replacement on a regular basis. So if you exercise very intensely for more than 1 hour, and I use that 2-hour marathon, it's important that you're consuming carbohydrates. And that's why when I run a marathon, every other mile, I'm having my sports drink. Every other mile, I'm making sure that I consume some of my carbohydrates. And then afterwards, the energy source should be eating carbohydrates during the first 4 to 6 hours after you exercise, because you're quickly going to replenish energy in your muscle tissues. Again, think of the analogy of the car on the freeway. If the car runs out of gas, that means you've run out of carbohydrate. If the car is overheating, that means you see smoke coming out of the engine. That means you're not getting enough hydration, right? And along the way, if the car doesn't have the tires and the brakes and all the physical components that are really up to date and working, that means we're not getting sufficient protein and the car is going to break down with its parts. So all of these different areas are very important. And of course, fats are also part of that fuel that we put inside our cars, our mechanisms of movement, right? Okay, let's go to the next slide. So protein, let's talk about the structural components for physical activity. Now, protein is so important because it promotes muscle synthesis and recovery, and it prevents the degradation of muscle protein. And I know a lot of people are very sensitive about this issue. They say, well, I don't want to eat too much protein because I don't want to look like a big muscular guy, a big muscle man. Well, believe me, your body is built a certain way. We have our genetics, which determine the way we look. So it's not going to, you're not going to suddenly wake up after eating tuna or some cheese, eggs, or a chicken or a steak and suddenly grow huge muscles. It just won't happen. But what is important, what's happening inside your body that you can't see, when you're eating these sources of protein, you're breaking the protein down into smaller pieces called amino acids. And those little amino acids, think of little links in a metal chain, if you will. Think of a chain of small metal links. Those small links are the amino acids, and they get reconfigured and repositioned in the body into proteins. And that can be in the muscle tissue, in your arms, in your legs, in your heart, cardiac muscle. All of that is important. It also helps build up your skin, your teeth, believe it or not, your hair, all the organs in the body. So, of course, we think of muscle protein, but protein in the food is very important for other tissues as well, just so you are having a healthy maintenance of your tissues. But when we're thinking about physical performance, we're thinking about muscle protein degradation. You want to have strong muscles. Now, we want to really prefer proteins with a high biological value. And we also want to control the intake of fats. What does biological value mean? Well, think about if I'm having a slice of beef, a piece of fish, a piece of chicken, even a glass of milk. When I consume those proteins, they're very high quality. They have a high biological value. It means that my body is going to absorb the majority of the protein that I'm eating, okay? So high biological value is very good. Now, people who exercise require more protein than people who sit around and do not exercise, because you're really exercising your body and you're using your car, to use that analogy, right? You're using your vehicle of transportation a lot more often. So you're wearing it down, you're putting miles on your tires, and you have to replenish and make sure that it's taken care of. So that's why we actually need more protein, and we're going to mention that in a second. So let's look at different types of exercise. Resistance exercise, okay? Now, if you're running, you're cycling, you're swimming, I'm sorry, I should call that endurance exercise. Endurance exercise, which is aerobic exercise, running, cycling, swimming, you're going to focus on about 1 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, all right? This is going to be on the lower end of protein recommendations, all right? 1 to 1.6 grams. For example, I am about 95 kilos. Let's say 100 kilos to make it simple, okay? Let's say, for example, I'm 100 kilos. I'm going to eat at least 1 gram for every kilo. So that's 100 grams. Or I can go upwards of 1.6, which would be 160 grams for me, all right? Now, let's forget the endurance exercise. Let's go to intermittent, like football, basketball, tennis, volleyball. Now I'm going to be focusing on 1.4 grams to 1.7 grams of protein for every kilogram of body weight I have. So again, if I'm your customer, your friend, your client, your family member, or your parent, and you're recommending something, you're going to tell me, hey, make sure that I'm getting 140 to 170 grams per day, because I simply took 100 kilos and I multiplied by 1.4 to 1.7. Last example is strength and muscle. This is where I'm going to the gym, I'm lifting weights, and this is what me, Dr. Luigi, I personally do every day. And it's often work because it's hard for me to keep muscle on. So I'm focused on 1.6 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram body weight. All right. So again, I'm 100 kilos. I'm going to get 160 to 200 grams of protein every day. And that's usually what I focus in on. Now, I don't get that protein every single day in my diet. It's very hard for me to achieve that, but I'm targeting those numbers. And again, eating with purpose. I'm thinking about what I'm focused in on so that I can get my nutrition in line with my physical activity goals, okay? So I hope you're understanding that you want to eat with purpose. You want to make sure you focus on certain goals, because the nutrition that you put in your body is going to help you leverage your abilities to do physical activity, okay? So why are vitamins and minerals important in physical activity? Well, there's a lot of reasons. Energy metabolism, hemoglobin synthesis for your red blood cells, okay? Maintenance of your bone health. Remember, we talked about your bones are like the trees. If you ever see a tree that's cut down in the forest and you look inside the tree, you'll see those thick rings. That's how your bone looks on the outer cortex. We want strong bone, okay? Immune function. You've got to keep your immune system going. And of course, protection against oxidative damage. And that happens so often with exercise. That's what's happening. And of course, muscle function. We want, you know, that vitamins and minerals can help support muscle functioning in very particular ways, okay? So now I mentioned again my analogy of the car breaking down on the side of the road and you see the smoke coming out of the car, and that's for a very specific reason. Usually the car engine is getting too hot, it's overheating, and this is where hydration is so key. So now you may see people putting coolant or different types of fluids in the car to get that heat from the core engine outside to the periphery of the car, or in the exhaust. So for us in the human body, it's a little bit different. We've got a core temperature inside of our body, deep inside the middle of your body, and you don't want that to overheat. You don't want your car to be smoking on the side of the road, right? So you've got to get the core temperature heat away to the periphery, and that's what comes out as sweat. So when you're sweating and you're dripping with sweat, it's a very good thing. It means that your cardiovascular system and your regulatory system for heat is working very well. So notice physical activity increases the body temperature. We just talked about that, the core. And then you move that heat out. Whenever sweat, water moves to the body, your blood and your sweat moving, and it's transporting heat. And believe it or not, the heat moves to the skin, and that's where you have evaporation and keeps the body cool. So as you'll notice in the red there, the body loses water, but it also loses some of the salts, and we call them electrolytes. Sodium, potassium, magnesium. These are very important electrolytes which function to maintain not only the fluid balance in your body, but it might sound strange, but the same way that you're looking at a car on the side of the road, which has a battery in it, providing it electrical conductivity, the human body doesn't have a battery, but it has electrolytes, which provide a charge. And believe it or not, all the cells in your body are working off these electrical charges. And that's how muscle contractions and performance happens. So you need to have these electrolytes, sodium, potassium, and magnesium, because they help to establish this chemical gradient, believe it or not, this electricity, which helps to power your body. So remember, you see the car on the side of the road, it has a battery in it. Humans, we do not have batteries, but we do have electrolytes and water, which not only help get rid of the heat, hydration, but they help muscle performance and other things, help from cramping, and making sure that you can perform and have a greater effort and doesn't compromise your efforts when you get dehydrated. So think about the fluid and the electrolytes, the sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Very important, but hydration is key. Let's move along. We have hydration during exercise. The moment that you're having your hydration before, every time I exercise, I want to make sure that it's not just during the workout, but I'm preparing, because again, same analogy, car on the side of the road. The reason why the car ran out of fuel or ran out of fluids is because it wasn't properly prepared. You've got to put all the fluids in your body hours before you're doing the exercise, the performance, okay? So 2 to 4 hours beforehand, making sure that you drink plenty of fluids. I like to wake up early in the morning and go to the gym. As soon as I wake up, I drink a lot of water, okay? I also have my own sports beverages that I like to have, whether it's a shake, whether it's a certain tea or electrolyte beverage that I have, but I will often do that before I work out. So for every 5 to 10 milliliters of fluid, you're going to have that per kilogram of body weight, okay? So remember, I'm about 100 kgs. That means I would have about 500 to 1,000 milliliters for my size, okay? So that's beforehand. You're going to distribute that over. Now, during the exercise, that's 30 minutes or like 30 minutes before the exercise to the actual time I'm doing the exercise. I'm going to increase from 5 to about 6 to 8 milliliters of fluid per kg of body weight per hour that I'm exercising. And again, in my experience, I'm not running a lot of marathons anymore like I was when I was younger. But when I did run marathons, that's exactly what I consumed. I would have 6 to 8 mLs of fluid. Now I was much lighter. I was around 80 kgs back then because I was super skinny, didn't have any muscle except in my legs. But this is exactly the amount you want, 6 to 8 milliliters of fluid per kg. Now, after you finish exercising, this is where you can increase. You're going to have about 1.5 liters of water or sports beverage for every kilogram of weight lost. As you're exercising, you're sweating and you're losing a lot of water weight. So you want to make sure you replenish that water weight with your hydration, with your beverages, okay? And of course, getting those electrolytes in there. Okay, so let's talk about sports supplements. And this is really kind of something that I find very powerful, because sports supplements, by definition, is a product. It can be a food, a beverage, a tablet, a capsule that can provide different nutrients to the body. Those nutrients include protein that we talked about. Remember, the structural component of your body, it holds things together. For the car analogy, we said, you know, the metal in your car, the tires, the brakes, all the physical capacity of your structure. Okay, the carbohydrates are going to be an energy source. That's like the gasoline that we're putting in the car. Vitamins, minerals, the amino acids, or other substances, all of these are intended to complement the diet and contribute to athletic performance. So this means if I'm having a steak or I'm having eggs and cheese and milk, that's sort of like the basis of my diet, and plenty of my fruits and vegetables. And then in addition to that, I can have these particular things which will help support my performance. So hopefully that makes sense. We want people to understand that you're eating your diet as your base, your healthy fruits and vegetables and all the things you're getting in, and then you can supplement with these vitamins, minerals, amino acids, carbohydrates, all these wonderful things that help support your exercise. Tricor Protein Blend is a fantastic product. And when you hear the word Tricor and you see that on the label, it's exactly that. It's a blend of 3 different types of protein, which is really very advantageous to human performance. Now, it's got a lot of great things that are part of the program. This product is great for everything, for muscle tissue growth, high impact recovery, providing results. But the key things to understand is that 25 grams of protein per serving, 190 calories, 18 grams of carbohydrate, 4.1 milligrams of iron, has the B vitamins, thiamine, and B6. It's just packed with lots of great nutrients. The wonderful thing also is the product's been tested for prohibited substances, because we want to make sure that you are confident that the product has not only the good stuff that we need in our body, and none of the prohibited substances that are banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency, the WADA, okay? So we know that having a blend of these milk proteins are going to be very beneficial. So it's a combination of whey protein and milk protein. And this blend helps in the formation of the muscles and bones, really helps to kind of protect and support and help repair that tissue especially after exercise, okay? So lots of great stuff in this product. The antioxidant protection, I should also mention, vitamins C and E are wonderful vitamins that have the antioxidants that help protect against damage caused by free radicals, especially when we exercise. And that's really important, especially when we're talking about muscle recovery. And the last thing I'd want to mention is, not only is it great for recovery, but it's important to understand that the product is tested against these prohibited substances, but also it's gluten-free, and we use a natural sweetener called stevia. So a lot of things that are wonderful about this product, but just so you can understand as a consumer of the product, so you're for your own benefit nutritionally, and also if you're sharing with your family, friends, or you're passing this to other people in your community, this is just a terrific product. Okay, so what is the anabolic window? So whenever you're exercising, believe it or not, let's say you go out shopping today and you go to the shopping mall and you're walking around and there's lots of stairs and you're walking up and down the stairs. Now you're not going to the gym lifting weights, but you find yourself carrying bags, walking up and down the stairs, and you feel sore later that day. Well, what happened? Believe it or not, you damaged your muscle tissue. Your arms are sore from carrying the bags. Your legs are sore from walking up and down the stairs. And the body needs nutrition. It needs good nutrients to help rebuild the damaged muscle tissue. Okay, so what is wonderful, as soon as you get home from shopping, there's a certain window of an opportunity of time where the body's very hungry for nutrients to help to start repair things, okay? And so we think about this sort of limited period of time, and this anabolic window is really ideal for the intake of these macronutrients, like high quality protein, like we just discussed, and carbohydrates, because when you mix the carbohydrates and protein, they really help to optimize recovery. What do? Well, development of muscle mass, repair of damaged muscle tissue, and the recovery of muscle glycogen stores. Those are the carbohydrate stores that are in the muscle and also in your liver. So you have different places to deposit that. But whether you're carrying bags, walking around shopping, or you've actually been to the gym and you're squatting and working on your legs and you're bench pressing for your arms, all of these things create damage and use of the muscle tissue. And so there is a period of time that you can help sort of rebuild that and replenish. And that's when the body is very hungry for nutrients. So we want to really focus on that anabolic window. And that's why I always like to immediately have a shake when I finish, or my particular snacks that are protein, carbohydrate, and rich in vitamins and minerals. So you've got to figure out what's good for you, but it's important to focus on the window. Okay, whey protein 3W is a phenomenal product. And this is incredible because it's a blend of 3 types of whey protein. We have whey protein isolate, whey protein concentrate, and we have hydrolyzed whey protein. And now whey protein is unique because it's faster acting than other types of milk protein. When we compare it to things like casein, it acts faster because it's absorbed faster in the body. But the advantages of this whey protein 3W is the 3 types of whey with isolate having the highest concentration can give different benefits: growth of the muscle tissue, recovery, and really focused on our results. So it's it's really this gradual availability of proteins to the body after exercise. Proteins to help in the formation of muscle and the bones. So think about 25 grams of protein, think 3.1 grams of carbs, and 130 calories. It's really actually quite an amazing product. And I like it because you get a lot of what we call bang for the buck. For the amount of protein that you're having, you get a tremendous benefit. So that's Herbalife 24 Protein Whey Protein 3W. Now I'd like to do a little comparison of the Tri-Core Protein Blend to the Whey Protein 3W. And they're both tremendous products. And you can think about them for either high and moderate intensity workouts. I would suggest using the Tri-Core Protein Blend for the moderate and high intensity workouts. Now, all types of training, whether it's low, middle, or high intensity, you can use the Whey Protein 3W. So you have these sort of two different types of exercise, and we know that we can focus on either of those. Now, really technically, the products are going to be great for either, but we want to position these products accordingly because we think you can get the most benefit using Tri-Core for the high and moderate intensity and the Whey Protein 3W for all training levels. Now, both products have 25 grams of protein, so they are equivalent in protein. But when it comes to the ingredient makeup, they're slightly different. Let's take the Whey Protein 3W first. It's only whey, okay, this is a milk protein, only whey, which is isolate, concentrate, and the hydrolyzed whey protein. Now, when we go over to the Tri-Core Protein Blend, it has the whey protein concentrate and the whey protein isolate. So you've got those two, but it also has what's called a milk protein concentrate. So that's slightly different than just, let's say, the whey protein hydrolyzed protein. Now, when we look at the way that they're absorbed in the body, Tri-Core Protein Blend has got a rapid and sustained supply of amino acids. So you get the fast acting, kind of fast absorption, and then a sustained supply. When we look at the Whey Protein 3W, it really is this gradual availability of proteins. So this is how we position the two. Again, they're fantastic. They're both wonderful, fantastic products. So Tri-Core Protein Blend, I'm focused on after training. That's when I really use my Tri-Core after I finish. I try and get it into my body as soon as I can. That's my personal preference afterwards. For the Whey Protein 3W, you can use it anytime. You can use it before or after training. So it's really your preference or where you feel the most benefit. I can use them throughout the day, but I especially want to make sure that I'm getting my after training benefit, okay? And let's look at some of the ingredients. Other nutrients that are provided, Tri-Core has a little bit more of the additional things. There's the glutamine and the branch chain amino acids, which are sort of naturally part of the milk protein blend. And then we also have a carbohydrate blend. We also have an antioxidant blend. I mentioned the vitamins C and E. And there's B vitamins, iron, and electrolytes. So the Tri-Core Protein Blend really has quite an assortment of things together. The Whey Protein 3W, we know, is low in fat and low in carbohydrates. So it has less ingredients when we compare them, but we know lower in fat, lower in carbohydrates, okay? So if you want to position these two products, think about how these two are unique. Let's talk about CR7 Drive. It's a powdered food supplement. I love CR7 because I got I had the benefit, the honor of meeting Cristiano Ronaldo, and he's quite the ambassador for health and nutrition. I mean, not only is he a very good-looking man, he's also very tall, which I was quite jealous of. I thought he was going to be short, and he couldn't have been a nicer guy and a tremendous ambassador for this particular product because he loves nutrition. He was specifically involved in the development of this product. He was talking to the developers on an ongoing basis. The flavor, he actually chose the flavor preference for this product, working with our doctors in the company to develop this. So I think of this as a very personalized product to Cristiano Ronaldo for Herbalife because of our partnership. Now, it helps with all physical activity, performance in all types of sports. It does contain glucose, and glucose provides energy to the muscles and the brain. I love it because it's delicious. It's one of my go-to products, smooth, refreshing, and this flavor is inspired by wild berries. So it's just delicious. Now, every serving, 100 calories per serving, 26 grams of carbohydrates per serving. It's a mix of different sources of carbohydrates, electrolytes, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. And it's got the B vitamins, B1 and B12. It also has the NSF for sports certification on the logo, which means simply that it's been tested for banned substances, and you've got the confidence. So think of this product as wonderful for hydration and for energy. Okay, let's talk about electrolytes being very important for human performance. We know that electrolytes are important because they help replenish the body when we sweat. By the way, when you're working out, you're not only losing fluid when we go to the bathroom, when we void going to the bathroom, but you may not see the fluids that we're losing by breathing heavily. When you're breathing, when you exercise, there's water vapor coming out of your body that you can't see. And of course, you see the sweat when you're dripping out of your skin, but that sweat loses electrolytes such as sodium, potassium, magnesium. And we need those things because sodium is important. It could lead to cramping if we don't have enough sufficient sodium. Potassium is important for promoting water retention within the cells in our body. And magnesium is very important because we know that athletes may require more magnesium, 10 to 20% more, than people who do not exercise. And that, again, is going to help with human performance. Now, also another thing to keep in mind, the mix of carbohydrates in the CR7. We've got different sources, including shorter acting and longer acting. And the great thing is that depending on the type of glycemic index, it gets into the bloodstream faster or in a more gradual way. It just gives you fast and sustained energy. Finally, the B complex vitamins, such as vitamin B1 and B12, contribute to normal energy metabolism. So now this is just what we touched on, having this glycemic index. I don't want you to worry about the complexity and the science. Just understand anytime you have carbohydrate, if you're having a bowl of rice, let's say some beans and corn, there are carbohydrates which get broken down to sugar. Okay. Now, also, if I have a banana, an apple, an orange, there are carbohydrates and natural sugars which get into the bloodstream. If I have a bowl of lentil soup, there are carbohydrates which get broken down into the bloodstream and glucose in the blood. But the differences between all those different foods, they have different speeds at which they enter the body. So what we call a high glycemic index, if I just took a bunch of white table sugar and I ate it right into my mouth, it would go quickly into my bloodstream. We call that a high glycemic index. If I had a bowl of lentil soup and lots of vegetables, it would be considered a low glycemic index because the body needs to break down the sugar and separate the fiber and then get it into the blood. Don't worry about all the science and complexity. Just understand the speed at which the sugar gets into the blood gives you a short-term energy boost and then a sustained energy. And that's the way we blend the product with different types of carbohydrates with different types of glycemic indices. So you get faster and more sustained. Okay, so we won't get into all the technicalities of all of those carbohydrates, but understand the blend is unique. And that's what's beautiful about CR7, the blending of these carbohydrates. Okay, when should you consume CR7 Drive? Well, take it from myself, having watched Cristiano Ronaldo play, being a big fan of his. I think about how he eats with purpose, how he performs with purpose. I watch him on the world stage, whether it's in the World Cup or all, playing in international sports or for his regional teams. I just think of him as such a tremendous ambassador and a tremendous athlete. And the way we position this particular product is before physical activity, during physical activity, and after, okay? Beforehand, we want to replenish the glycogen, that's the carbohydrate, that you store in your body to make sure you have proper hydration, okay? During physical activity, we want to make sure we can maintain the hydration and maintain the blood glucose levels, okay? And then after physical activity, we want to replenish the fluid and the carbohydrates and the electrolytes that we've lost. Remember the analogy of the car on the side of the road. If it's smoking, it's because it's lost a lot of fluid and the engine is overheating. If it's run out of gas, it's because we ran out of glycogen, that carbohydrate, fuel that we needed in the body. And if there's other issues, then we know that the electrolytes may not be there. Okay, so think about all those things. Very important. When to consume CR7, I think about 3 different times around my physical performance. Okay, the BCAAs, the 5 to 1 to 1. The branch chain amino acids, the BCAAs, are very simple. They're 3 different amino acids. You don't have to remember them. They're called leucine, isoleucine, and valine. You don't have to memorize them. But what's incredible is that the science has shown that development of muscle and maintenance of muscle, especially with human performance, physical exercise, these branch chain amino acids are very important for building and maintaining this muscle. So we include the branch chain amino acids in that specific ratio, the 5 to 1 to 1, which means leucine, which is one of the most important, because leucine is like the key that unlocks the door into muscle development. So imagine you walk home, you put a key in the door and you open the door, or your car door or your house, whatever it is, leucine acts as that key. It's very important, and that's why we put it in the highest ratio, 5 to 1 to 1. Isoleucine and valine are equally important, but we can have them in lower ratios. So the 5 to 1 to 1 simply means that you can have the confidence that we have the right amount of leucine. That's the amino acid that really is the key to unlocking a lot of the metabolic processes in the muscle tissue. The product also contains vitamin B6, which helps with energy, protein, and glycogen metabolism, okay? It has 6 grams of these branch chain amino acids, 5 parts of leucine, 1 part isoleucine, and 1 part valine, as we said before. And of course, as I mentioned, leucine is the main branch chain amino acid responsible for supporting the growth of the muscle mass. Remember, it's the key. Suitable for all types of training, whether you're a beginner or a high performer. You don't have to be a professional athlete to use this product. Everyone can use it. It's in a tablet format. It's in 30 servings. And of course, you can scoop it. You can use the tablets it's in a tablet format, which is terrific and easy to use. Okay, so think about this product for energy, recovery, 6 grams of the branch chain amino acids, vitamin B6, and of course, we have those all the important information on the seal, on the label. Let's talk about glutamine. Glutamine is an amino acid, and we know it's very important because it contributes to muscle repair and it supports a healthy immune system, especially after periods of intense exercise. Now, the advantages of our glutamine in this product is that it's 100% composed of L-glutamine. And L-glutamine simply means it's the chemical configuration of the glutamine, which is absorbed by humans, okay? So we want you to use L-glutamine. That's important. We can guarantee that it is L-glutamine because we purchase and we source it from a wonderful company called Ajinomoto. Ajinomoto is our source. They're very well known in the industry. They're a fantastic company. We've worked with them for many years, and they're very, very high quality. So we like to say our L-glutamine is from Ajinomoto. Of course, competitive power due to the quality of this wonderful L-glutamine, which gives you a lot of leverage when you're talking about this product to your friends and your family and your colleagues. And we love it because it's a neutral flavor. A lot of other glutamines that I've seen in the marketplace or different types of amino acid have a strange flavor. It's a strong flavor and people don't like it. So I love the neutral flavor. It's versatile and it's easy to mix with any drink or any food, okay? So clearly very important because it's for protection, for muscle repair. 5 grams of glutamine, just a terrific product. And we want you to understand the benefits of this product. So make sure that you're getting your glutamine. Creatine is a wonderful product. Premium creatine is something that you have in your marketplace. And creatine is very unique. It's a molecule that you are naturally producing in your body right now as you listen to this training. And what's really cool is it's produced by the body, mainly in the liver, and there are other small contributions from the kidneys and the pancreas. But it has this wonderful ability to help with short-term energy production. Now, it's composed of a different set of amino acids. It's got glycine, arginine, and methionine. But what's really interesting about creatine is that it serves as a short-term energy buffer. So example, let's say I'm getting up, I've got 2 young kids, a 9 and 10-year-old, and they love running around in the park. Let's say they challenge me to a race. And they say, Daddy, let's race. And they get up and run. As they often do, they always start without me. And so I've got to sit up and start running to catch them. Creatine for the first, let's say 10 seconds that I'm chasing my children in a sprint, I'm using creatine as a short energy buffer to help my muscle tissue use this, what's ATP, which you probably learned about in school, but you don't have to worry about. So creatine is terrific as a natural buffer in the body. But what we found is that if you consume creatine, it can actually help in the human body in terms of supporting physical performance. And that's why we love this product, Creatine Premium. Now, the advantages is it provides energy, promoting better physical performance, generating more strength, more muscle resistance, and better muscle recovery. This is really unique because I could go to the gym today and not use the product and say, let's do a certain number of repetitions with my weights, my arm curl, my bench press. Then I could go later next week or in a few weeks after having consumed my creatine premium, and I will be able to actually perform better in the gym. It is a very well-studied ingredient. For many, many years, I remember when I was in my university days, many people were using creatine, but this is a real premium source. Okay. The use of creatine facilitates muscle mass gain, providing greater resistance during training and improving your strength results. And of course, because of that, it contributes to the development of muscle mass, which supports quality of life. Now, you're going to see on the label all kinds of wonderful label identifications, like it's 100% pure. It's suitable for vegan. There's 0 calories. It's the monohydrate form. It's creatine monohydrate. There's no sodium, there's no sodium, there's no gluten, and it's free from banned substances. So you've got all these very important indicators on the label that you should look for. So wonderful product, the Herbalife 24 Creatine Premium. So why consume creatine? Well, there are some terrific benefits. We know that we can help increase our physical performance during exercise. As I just mentioned, I could literally go into the gym today, lift some weights without using creatine, and then go back after 2 weeks of using it, and I would be able to perform better. There's very good clinical research on that, and we know the benefits very well. It also contributes to increasing muscle strength. If I'm increasing my performance, that means I'm challenging the muscles more, and then my strength gets more. I also increase my gaining in muscle mass. So I'm literally adding more muscle mass to my body. That's incredible. So all of that cascades from the benefits of creatine, but we can also talk about the benefits of recovery. Creatine can help with recovery after exercise. There's also something called age-related muscle loss. Anyone who is not being physically active and trying to keep their muscles, they're going to start to atrophy. That's a natural part of age-related muscle loss. It's called sarcopenia. And we know that we can fight that with physical activity, but creatine also helps to support the process of keeping the lean muscle keeping the lean muscle from being reduced, okay? So very important. And the last but not least, very exciting, bone health and cognitive health for the brain. There's a lot of research in this area, specifically with postmenopausal women. So we're very excited about the multiple benefits of creatine, not only for just muscle strength, performance, but also recovery, cognition, and sarcopenia, and all this great stuff. So we love this product. I'm a big fan of it, and I hope that everyone has tried it. Let's talk about caffeine during physical activity. It is clear that caffeine really helps as what we described an ergogenic aid. And ergogenic simply means helping to produce work and helps with functionality. And that simply means during your training routines, using caffeine can contribute to your increased physical performance through specific things, muscle endurance and muscle strength. It can help with a decreased sensation of fatigue. It also helps with the reduction of the perception of effort. So the most commonly used time for caffeine is about 60 minutes before exercise. Now, that's before training. During training, caffeine seems to be most beneficial during the time of exercise or when there's like an accumulation of fatigue. So it really depends on when you choose to use it. I like to have my tea or my coffee or my energy sports drink before my exercise. And then I may use a little bit during exercise because if you're ingesting caffeine during exercise, especially the middle to late stages, it's going to help with performance, really depending on the event. Okay. So you can choose and you can personalize, but we know that caffeine helps during exercise, and that's the key. Let's talk about Liftoff. This is a wonderful product. It's one of my favorite products. It has a lot of wonderful ingredients in it, including caffeine, which we just talked about as being beneficial for exercise. It also has the B vitamins, vitamins B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B7, and B12. So the spectrum of B vitamins is important. It also has vitamin C, which is a wonderful addition because we talked about the antioxidant benefits of vitamin C for the free radicals that are produced during exercise. So Liftoff is amazing, easy to prepare. It's ideal for training, your pre-training regimen. It's great for a temporary thermogenic effect. It's great for the feeling of energy. And we also have focus and concentration, which is a wonderful claim that I like to make because athletes like to have more focus and concentration, whether they're doing a sport that requires their reaction time and performance. So Liftoff is a tremendous product. I think it's a great addition to anyone's regimen. Okay, there are alternatives to include products in the training routine outside of the normal products that we've been discussing. So of course, we know that depending on the type of activity, whether it's a strength training like weightlifting, calisthenics, CrossFit, high intensity interval training, if you're lifting weights, that's going to be strength. If you're doing running and swimming and endurance activity where you're doing the aerobic component, those are going to be endurance aerobic activities, okay? And of course, if you're just doing wellness like yoga, Zumba, walking, something that doesn't require a lot of intensity, that's absolutely fine too, because you're moving your body and you're moving around. But think about what you're going to use before, during, and after. So think about like some of the things that are common. Let's talk about after first, because those are pretty standard. When you finish any type of physical activity, I would suggest you can reach for the products of your choice, such as the BCAA, the branch chain amino acids in that 5:1:1 ratio. You can use that product no matter what type of exercise you're doing. You can also use another product such as your CR7. So that would be a fantastic addition to use afterwards. Now, where things start to sort of splinter off, let's say you're doing a strength exercising, you probably want to include the whey protein 3W and your glutamine product, because those amino acids that are in the glutamine the actual glutamine product, and the whey protein 3W with the 3 types of whey protein are going to be wonderful for your recovery. Okay. If you're doing endurance activity, we already mentioned your tri-core, we mentioned the BCAA in the 5:1 ratio. We would include glutamine as well, plus your CR7 drive, but you could also put in your tri-core blend. So endurance activity, I would include the tri-core blend. And for your strength activity, I would include the Herbalife 24 whey protein 3W, okay? But you can see you're going to use your BCAAs, your glutamine, and your CR7 drive for both those activities. And then if you're simply doing wellness and you're just walking, doing yoga, Pilates, Tai Chi, then you could just use the branched chain amino acids, the BCAAs. You could use CR7, and you could use your whey protein 3W. So it really is about personalization, but think about how you're going to finish the workout, and repair and recovery is sort of key. Now let's go to the sort of before the workout. Now, one of my favorite things to use, and I actually used this morning when I woke up here in California, is my protein bar deluxe. I love my protein bars because they've got 10 grams of protein. I use those for all types of activity. So I would include the protein bar deluxe or any type of protein snack that you could find. I especially like those. So all types of activity, whether it's strength training, whether it's endurance training, or you're going to just be doing general wellness, those are going to work great. Now, let's say that you're just doing strength training. I would include your CR7, which we used before, during, and after the exercise. I would also include your creatine premium, because remember, creatine can be used at the beginning of exercise. Before I go to the gym, I would like to use that right before my workout. And of course, as I mentioned, I'm going to use liftoff probably right before my workout, because it gives me that caffeine kick and I'm going to feel the benefits. Okay. So that's for my strength training. Let's say I'm going for a run. I'm doing some endurance training and I want to prepare for my run, my walk, my long power walk, or my swimming. I will also have my favorite bars, my lemon bars that I like to have every day. I'll have my CR7 drive before I go for my run. I'll also do my creatine monohydrate, my creatine premium. And of course, as I mentioned, liftoff, because I like to start the caffeine kick before I work out. But here's where it differs. If I go to my wellness, I'm also going to use my bars, but I'm probably not going to start with liftoff because I don't need that kick. And I'm not going to use creatine, but instead I will just mix up a shake. And I'll use my Formula One shake, and I'll be doing my Nutri-V. So I'll mix up the two of those together. And instead of the liftoff, I'm going to use NRG. NRG is going to be it has that guarana, and the guarana is a fantastic way to get a little bit of that lift. So during the exercise, if I'm doing strength training, I'm always sipping on CR7. I'm also using CR7 if I'm doing endurance training, but I may use liftoff as well if I'm running a long marathon. Okay. And finally, if I'm doing just wellness, I can use NRG. Again, the guarana is going to be a terrific supplement, a terrific support, I should say, throughout my exercise. So a lot of information on alternatives to include during the training routine, but just think of using your nutrition with purpose during your exercise routine so that you can really focus on personalization. Okay, so we've got lots of wonderful products. Just to sort of do a summary, if you will, let's go across and talk about first our tri-core protein, which is fantastic because it has 25 grams of proteins, 18 grams of carbohydrates. It helps with the formation of muscles and bones, high impact recovery, and it gives results. Then we move to a different product, which is the whey protein 3W, 25 grams of protein as well. However, only 3.1 grams of carbohydrates, so much less carbohydrates, and of course, lower in fat, all the things that we mentioned earlier. But equally important for formation of bones and muscles, and great for recovery and going to provide results. Okay. Now let's move to our BCAAs and the 5-1-1 ratio. Again, has 6 grams of the branched chain amino acids, 5 parts leucine, 1 of isoleucine, and 1 of valine. Okay. That's going to help with recovery, energy, metabolism. And we know that we have the pure amino acid seal. If we move to glutamine, which is another type of amino acid, very important, and people love glutamine. It's versatile. It's very simple to mix with any drink, any food. Great for repair, great for protection. I especially love using glutamine when I'm traveling a lot because it helps, as we mentioned, if you're exercising, it kind of helps you stay in a good, healthy state. Okay. Also has that free amino acid, the pure amino acid on the pure amino acid approval mark. Then we move to CR7 drive. It helps with hydration, replacing minerals, and that can be lost during physical activity. So hydration is great, and it provides energy. And finally, our creatine premium, which is 100% pure creatine monohydrate. Very important. It's a very good blend of creatine, and it contributes to increasing the muscle mass and strength, helps to increase the physical performance during exercise. Remember, we source that from a wonderful source called Ajinomoto, which is one of the top sourcing sourcing companies. Physical performance is going to help with strength and muscle mass and recovery. So this is a nice summary of all these wonderful products that we use and that are great for physical performance. And I just want to finish this presentation by saying, first of all, I appreciate your participation, and I appreciate listening to all this information, but I want you to just consider some of the things we talked about. We first discussed this theme of eating with purpose, because you really want to think about, if you're doing any type of physical performance, you don't have to be a professional athlete. You can simply be walking in the park. You still need to optimize your nutrients and your nutritional choices. So please eat with purpose. It's something I try and do every day with my family. And don't rely on just walking outside and waiting for the environment to determine what you're going to eat. And that's where some of these wonderful ingredients and choices come in, okay? Number 2, think of your body as that car that we talked about so much. You don't want it to be stranded on the side of the road smoking because the engine is overheating. You need proper hydration. You don't want it to run out of gas. You need proper energy consumption, which is the carbohydrates that we talked about. And of course, you need all that fluid with the electrolytes. You need the sodium, the potassium, the magnesium, the B vitamins and minerals that we talked about. And of course, let's not forget about the structural damage. You don't want to blow a flat tire. You don't want to have any of the metal or the brakes to break. That means protein. It gives us structural integrity in the body. And those are some of the most important ingredients that we discussed today. So I really appreciate your participation in this training. And I hope that you all will eat with purpose every time that you're considering your physical performance and nutrition. Thanks for all you do. And I wish you all the best of health. Take good care.